Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I'm Ryan Bowling. Thank you all for joining me once again. What I want to talk about in this video is the situation with Fox News reporter and journalist Tucker Carlson's departure and the after effects that may have on Fox News. Now, let me point this out up front. I actually did a 60-second a video on this because I don't watch Fox News necessarily, and I don't really listen to the commentary of Tucker Carlson on a ongoing basis. Now, I must admit I have listened to some of his commentaries. I've listened to some of his interviews, and I actually like his commentary. I actually like the way he presents his information, his tone, his charisma. From the little bit that I have heard from him and have seen from him, I really like. Okay, but I can't give you a lot of details about Tucker Carlson because I don't know that much about him. But I wanted to speak on this article that I'm about to read because this article that I'm about to read to you guys is the opinion of someone else. So I'm going to read his opinion, and then I'm going to give you guys a vision that I had about a year ago in reference to journalists and reporters on mainstream media. Something that which is interesting because this individual who gives his opinion on where Fox News stands right now and whether or not they're going to be able to recuperate over Tucker Carlson's departure is basically similar to what I actually envisioned about a year or so ago. So let's get into this article, and I'm going to give you guys my interpretation of reporters and journalists in these last days, okay? So let's get right into this. And the article is actually entitled Victor Davis Hanson. Fox News cannot replace Tucker Carlson. And this is his opinion on this. He says this. So the article starts off, the media world has grown in scale and complexity to such an extent, the knowledge of how it can be best used to maximize advantage seems more and more open to the individual specialist. Take Tucker Carlson as an example. His loss to Fox News might not be as easily negated as the Murdoch family believes or hopes, according to Victor Davis Hanson, because of the changes that have fragmented network news in the past decade. Fox News daily hour-long program Tucker Carlson the Night pulled in an average audience of 3.3 million viewers in its final 2 months, making it by far the most viewed cable news show in America. Fox Corporation's stock slumped by 3% when the news was announced it would be ending, with an estimated $800 million in value being wiped away, as Breitbart News reported. And that ain't a drop in the bucket. $800 million in value, that don't look good. All predicated on Tucker Carlson, the man who became Fox's most popular personality after replacing Bill O'Reilly in Fox's primetime lineup in 2016. What happened now? He's left the building. What happens now? He's left the building, rather. Hanson, author of The Dying Citizen, How Progressive Elites, Tribalism, and Globalization Are Destroying the Idea of America, I might get that book, argues his audience has left with him and like others who have recently bailed on big news companies, quote, in terms of reach and profit, they are far more successful outside than in. In other words, Tucker Carlson and others who have done the same thing or the same situation have happened to them, they're better off being independent. He goes on to say, he told the London Daily Telegraph in an interview his thoughts on the future for both Carlson and Fox News. I think that Tucker was supposedly getting 2 more years at $20 million a year. Given his appeal and talents, he could probably make more than that with his own venue. Man, $20 million a year? He ain't poor. That wasn't true 20 years ago. Wasn't true 5 years ago. But we've so fragmented the media business, you don't have to go to on TV, that one of the messages the Murdochs are not quite understanding, that when you take away somebody who had a greater potential elsewhere and was a precious asset that anchored your whole evening lineup, and you fired him in a fit of anger without thinking it through, you got to be very careful because you can't replace a guy like that. Hanson sees a world where hosts of, quote, other venues, from podcasts to YouTube interviews and Twitter segments, eat away at the big network platforms. This is, like I said earlier, this is kind of like the vision I had in my mind's eye a year or so ago. And deliver Carlson an audience entirely of his own and the commercial opportunities that come with that. He cites Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro as examples of what is possible for the lone operator in terms of, quote, reach and profit. Hanson concluded, a lot of people are very angry about Carlson's firing, and where there is anger, there's likely to be action. And that's the end of that article right there. So, yeah, people are not happy about this. Like I said, I wasn't into, Tucker Carlson, but I've heard some of his interviews. I've seen some of his interviews with people from the left. One particular interview I was watching, he was interviewing a professor. Now, this guy was supposedly a professor. He looked like a kid that was a Marxist, clearly a Marxist. And I can't remember all that was that Tucker Carlson was interviewing him for. But Tucker Carlson had this look on his face when that so-called professor was responding to him. Tucker Carlson had this look on his face like, are you serious? And then Tucker Carlson's response was, after the man said what he had to say, he said, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Because supposedly this so-called professor was saying, I give people whatever it is and I let them decide in their own mind what kind of teacher, what kind of college professor talks like that? Anyway, but what little I have seen and heard from Tucker Carlson, I like a lot. He seems to be the type of journalist or reporter, as one particular commentator says, that thinks outside the box and talks about things the mainstream media and the general consensus does not talk about. I remember one particular interview Tucker Carlson did some time ago. I saw a segment of it where he was talking about UFOs. How many of the mainstream media outlets talk about UFOs, And if they do, they'd say it in a mocking tone. They mock it. Men from outer space kind of stuff, okay? Keep on mocking stuff, okay? But anyway, this guy's opinion is that perhaps Fox News might not recover from this, because who can replace a man like Tucker Carlson, according to these people's opinions? Who can replace him? I mean, he became the highest viewed person in the second half of the season. He became the highest viewed reporter and journalist on TV. So who's going to replace him? I mean, now he made the statement, it's impossible to replace someone like that, but I don't want to say it's impossible. It could be possible because I think, what was that game show that came out in the 70s? I don't know if it was The Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy. I think it might have been Jeopardy. Jeopardy, I think, correct me in the comment box below, but they had a lot of different hosts that were on there. I think I forget the name of the first host, but he was very, very popular. He liked to kiss people all the time. Me and my mom was talking about, you like to always kiss women, rather, on the cheek every time we could always kiss them on the cheek. He was always flirting with him, or so it seemed. And then when he left, they had to, I mean, he was highly regarded. People looked up to him. He was very charismatic. And I think in part, he helped produce high ratings for the game show. And then after he left, they had to find someone to replace him. And I think at some point they were able to find other hosts that was able to replace this host. So it's possible. It's possible, but perhaps based on the information that I have before me, it's highly unlikely. Okay, now, let me put something out here that I had this vision in my mind's eye, man, that I saw that I believe is going to happen in the future. I had a vision in my mind. It just popped up in my head. I mean, it wasn't like I went into a trance and I saw some, but it just popped up in my mind's eye that in the future, perhaps in the near future, a significant number of mainstream media personalities and mainstream media journalists and reporters on the left and the right are going to begin to leave the mainstream media outlets in mass, because their eyes are going to start opening to the matrix that's being created for them. They're going to start seeing outside the matrix, and no matter how much money the owners of these news corporations pay them, they're not going to go for it. They're not going to go for it, and they're going to start breaking through. They're going to get tired of telling lies. They're going to get tired of spinning these false narratives. They're going to get tired of spinning a matrix for the people to live in. And they're going to start leaving en masse more and more. They're going to start leaving the mainstream media outlets, and they're going to start forming their own. And it's going to be a huge following. These people are going to attract huge following, just like Tucker Carlson, just like others. They're going to attract huge followings, and the mainstream media outlets are going to lose practically their entire audience. And so the mainstream media is going to become very, very desperate. They're going to become very, very desperate, and it's going to be this information war on a level that will blow your mind. And then people who are supporting the journalists and reporters that leave the matrix of the mainstream media, they're going to be targets of the mainstream media. They're going to be targets. There's going to be a war against them. Okay. And it's going to be two sides. You're going to have the mainstream media and their robots, and you're going to have the independent journalists and reporters and their followers on the other side. And it's going to be this information war that could perhaps ensue some kind of physical violence, because the mainstream media outlets, which are controlled by the people at the top of the pyramid, do not like that. Money is power. And when you start taking away that money, people are not going to be happy about that. You're making hundreds of millions of dollars, perhaps billions of dollars in profit, and now you're losing all that. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. They're not going to let that happen. But this is just a vision that I have seen, okay? Because Tucker Carlson is not the only person that has left the mainstream media matrix. There's been others that have left the mainstream media matrix, and they've become pretty popular outside of that. So that's the vision that I have. And that's what I think is going to happen in the future. Man, it's going to be a great tug of war here on the level that has never been seen before. But people like Tucker Carlson and others, reporters and journalists like Tucker Carlson and others, are getting sick and tired of being controlled and manipulated. I can say that much about them. And others, they're being sick and tired of being manipulated and controlled by the mainstream media, told when they know what the real truth is. You're telling me I have to say this to the people when I know in my heart that that's not true. I'm getting tired of you offering me. I don't want to be a slave anymore to your money. I'm tired of being a slave. And a lot of these news journalists and reporters are slaves to the money. And I can oftentimes see on their face, people like Joy Reid or Joyless Reid, okay, I can see the expression on her face that she's fighting in her own mind's eye what's really true. It's like she's convinced herself that I have to say these type of things because, look, I'm getting a lot of money. So let me convince myself, or let me prep myself up and motivate myself to tell a lie for this money. But sooner or later, that's going to break. It's going to break her conscience. And she's probably going to get tired and be like, I'm out of here. But whether or not she has any kind of following, I highly doubt that, because I highly doubt it. But I think that she might just come out and say, who knows? But like I said, who knows? She might decide to break free from the matrix of MSNBC and be like, you know what? They're telling lies. They're telling all these lies. They're spinning all these lies. All this stuff that I've been saying, y'all, I'm sorry for saying it. I need you to support it. And maybe her numbers might start growing outside the matrix that's been created by MSNBC. Who knows? But that's my spin on it. What do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all, and see you again.